But the other thing, well, you were talking about the sirens, and then that is something that people are talking about that we have experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think I also was hearing them a lot the first couple weeks. And even now, though, still, I feel like I'm more attuned to it.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear it, it's like what I imagine the church bells used to be for people. You hear it and you take a moment of silence almost. You
Mm-hmm.
think about what that means. And lately I've been hearing it and kind of doing that, pausing for a moment, recognizing it for what it is, feeling a little sad, feeling a little overwhelmed, and then getting back to whatever I was doing, because what else am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I've noticed, which is kind of in relation to that, is I walk, when I go to my studio, right at the halfway point, there's that funeral home.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never noticed it before. And now I notice it every single time.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of activity.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well.
And that's been, I don't know if that's something that I've just never noticed it because I'm not interested in their services at the moment, or haven't been, or if it is actually more active than normal.
I think it has to be.
I think it must be.
Because there are probably people that are having to go outside of what their typical funeral arrangements would be. So probably all of them are completely slammed.
Right.
But yeah, every time I've passed by, there's been somebody there sitting in like a mask. Just, I don't know if they work there. I don't know if they're family.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a little bit, but since we had 4 different people die in our families in 2019, the idea of having to deal with this in 2020 definitely feels like one of the more heartbreaking aspects of this whole thing.
Yeah.
To not only to not be able to see somebody potentially when they're dying, to not have access to the traditional grieving process, and then the consequences on different people past the death when they feel that they've been deprived that experience,
right.
to have to get over something like that.
Right. And to have to do it in a way that this is not only my experience, and sort of how much you would let yourself grieve, knowing that so many other people are also grieving. And I don't know, I'm not in that experience, but whether that would be comforting or whether that would be so not comforting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could definitely think that is one of the areas where I feel higher levels of empathy.
Yeah.
Not to suggest that there are other areas where I feel callous or something, but
yeah,
that just resonates with me.
Me too. I saw at that funeral home that we're speaking of that's nearby, I saw a procession the other day, and my instinct was to take down my mask and show that I was like empathizing with these people, and to try and not like wave my arms around and try and catch their attention, but to somehow show these people that I don't know and will never know that I was like in this with them and that I loved them, which is like not a thing I do. I didn't even know that I was going to do that. It just happened, and then I don't even think they saw me, and I just kept going. But yeah, that's definitely challenging.
Yeah, bringing that up makes me think that the uniqueness of this situation is that we are deprived one of the better things about human tragedy, which is identifying closeness at an interpersonal scale. I think that also might be why the commercials ring hollow in some way too, because it is the extent to which we are able to express some sort of opinion on the subject, and perhaps also why the clapping is taking off in some way.
Right.
But
it's some sort of desperate grasping at community.
But like something like after 9/11 or something, there is a much more individual connection with people in the
Right.
in transit, on the street, things like that. I mean, we've going around, walking around the city now, we have had isolated incidences where just saying hello to somebody feels way more meaningful than normal. And I think that's a pairing. I've always said that I feel spring is the best time in the city because people are able to stop looking down because it's so cold and
Right.
look up at each other. But I also just think that people are starved for any type of positive connection. And so there's instances of that, but that's the minority. And the fact that we're all masked figures walking around and that can't touch each other and need to be a certain distance away from each other, and at least not even just be cognizant of
Right.
maintaining personal space, creates a situation that, deprives us of one of the positive aspects of tragedy.
Sure, that's a good point. Yeah, and not only deprives us of it, but twists things around so much that we very much don't want that.
Yeah.
And we're afraid of it.
I don't know. I think that there are a lot of people that, I mean, I know I want it, like I want to be able to have that connection with people. I feel there is a non-trivial, right? Meaningful. There's a non-trivial value to being able to communicate energy in a positive way that is being shouldered for the time being due to an abundance of caution that is presently appropriate. But again, when does that become decided that we can discard that and get back to another tier of human interaction,
Right.
I'm not sure when that's going to happen. But I do think that I don't have that fear personally.
Okay.
But I understand that other people can and do.
Yeah. I do.
Yeah.
Not constantly, but from time to time when I'm out, I feel like I'm being guarded, both to respect everyone, because I kind of assume that everyone's afraid of me, and also because there is an element of fear that I have, that there's this invisible thing that could jump off of someone and try to attach to my DNA,
Right.